Hi there, Scott from Wessex Blades. I've got a product here that I have worn every other day for the last week and a half. Swapping it out with my Leatherman on the belt pouch. Initially to see if wearing it is offensive to the public. And the reason is because this one comes in a pouch, so what I've done is I swapped it out down here on my belt with a long shirt and covered it up. And of course no one's really noticed. When I haven't had the shirt, it's been on display with this belt pouch. It's a UK Legal slip joint folding knife with a sharpener in the back of the pouch. So you've got a little sort of handheld thing there with two carbide angles, so you can just dress up your blade a bit. So I've been wearing it. It's a little bit larger than the Leatherman pouch, but what you get is that in it. So if you imagine the pouch sticks out quite a fair bit because you've got the sharpener in the back as well. So it does come out the side a little bit more than a Leatherman. What you get is your obviously slip joint. So sub 3 inch. I dare say this is reversed because it's on camera flipped over. So the right will be back to front. So quite a high grind. It's a hollow grind with a terminal bevel. The 4 or 5 times I've used it, it's been pretty useful. I find it a little bit canted towards the back because of the way that this design of this chows here. So you're actually quite a fair amount away from the cutting edge when it's in use. The thumb ramp does help a little bit. Got ambidextrous studs, so lefties and righties you get out on both sides. Quite useful, very twee, quite small, so sort of there's a Grizzly by the Bushcraft store sort of size. But the difference with this one is it's got things on the back. So once you've put that away, inside is a steel liner. Let's find the camera. Okay, so we've got a steel liner. Move a little bit. So obviously this is not LB custom knives. Sort of slightly off center here, but steel liner. And on the back you've got a few extras. So you've got a bottle opener and a screwdriver, a bit rounded, so if you spend a bit of time with a file you could improve that. On the other side is a semblance of a cross point, my focus, and a cable cutter, rope cutter sort of effect on it, and then you've got the belt clip on the back. So what I'm going to do is just go through a few cutting tests to get my worms out properly, just to see what it can cope with. The blade steel's pretty good, coat underneath, so yeah, it should cope. I haven't dressed up the blade. I've used it cutting cardboard, paracord, because I've been making paracord lanyards, the odd little bit of wood I'm trimming up and whatever. You know, I haven't put it through a torture test. Now the actual claims on this thing are not in the area of like the flashlights that I get that give it an IPX8 rating of how far it can go in the water, what it's dropped. This literally is supposed to do day tasks. It's an EDC type blade. So we'll start with paper. I'll work up card, softwood. I got some London plane, which is a harder hardwood, and then I got some oak. And then I'm going to give it the other thing that's on it. Supposedly it's got a glass breaker on the end, so I've got an old roof tile. That'll be interesting because it's quite small, but let's give it a go. So initially, paper cut test. So fresh from the printer, so it's not been hanging around, so it's not damp. Is that one sheet? Feels like one sheet. It cuts. It cuts paper. I swear that feels like 2 sheets. Must be a thick one. Right, so next one will be cardboard. It's quite surprising how tiring cardboard can be to a blade. Now what I'll do is from here I'll fast forward it. So it'll be the same clip, but I'll slice it a bit off and then just slice, and we'll see how far it'll go. So here we go. Okay, the biggest problem I had with it was catching the cardboard in the sharpening knock there. So that's something to be aware of. Cut okay, starting to gum up, so I'm getting the adhesive of the cardboard beginning to drag on it, but it was doing it okay. My fumbling, when you see it stop, is because I've got it cut. It's actually stopped inside the sharpening knock. You do actually find the right angle when it's used. It has to do the hollow grind, so in use you'll get better and better at it. But yeah, it was cuts cardboard pretty open. Didn't seem to lose its edge. So now softwood. So I've got some outdoor pine. I'll just see if it can feather it to some degree, because bushcraft guys will be interested in an EDC blade. Will it or won't it have the edge? Well, there's a problem. Slip joint. So the effort that I went into pushing forward, as soon as I was off the end of the wood, that happened. So end up with that sort of grip. I imagine would be the safest. I say this is not green wood. Seems to be rippling up that okay. It's definitely not a wood carver. It's doing it at a pinch sort of knife, yeah. It's doing it. Not much control. It's because the handle's too small. I'm actually, by holding it like that, it's off the end of my hand span, so I haven't got the maximum control in terms of hand and wrist there. As I say, I don't want to put too much power in because that happens. So that's a little bit of pine. Next we've got some London plane, so we can notch some London plane. So obviously if you were making a pot hanger, you need to make some stop cuts. So I'm using that sort of action there. Oh, that's going through that quite good. Quite good. Also, I haven't used that section of the blade on the cardboard yet, so that should be quite a fresh edge. So quite a tidy stop cut there. So if you had to make a pot hanger or your bear snares or whatever it is, pretty good. Say it's not a It's not one that you could use an over thumb sort of grip on it, because this is going to happen if you came off the wood. But it went through that alright. Now for some evil oak, just put it through its paces. I'll try the paracord. Quite honestly, now I'm knackered. So it has managed to do it, but it's tiring. Okay, so this is not a power blade. I do have a workshop mower here, and that's been used and used and used and used and used, and you just, and that is, because of the size and depth of the handle. Yeah, that's twice as easy to use compared with this. But say that's a dedicated woods outdoor carving sort of layout, whereas this is supposed to be UK legal on a slip joint. You just can't get the power on that handle that is, you know, with me only just spanning 3 fingers, but it will do it. So that's the oak. Never underestimate the cutting test that can be achieved with a bamboo skewer. This really does set things apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to this piece of wood. So I'm just on a piece of pine. Okay. Yeah, that's quite a tough test. Again, I haven't got the power on it. That's in there, the power being applied to the top of that. It's quite a square edge. So maybe if you purchase it and you're onto that sort of thing, a slight dress down of that top edge won't show up the pressure that's happening in the pad of your palm there, where you're really putting some energy into it. But yeah, I mean, they're manufactured to a certain volume, so that's what these are made as, these scales. But it did the whole bamboo skewer. How many times I've cut it? Maybe 20 times. We'll do the paracord with this funny cutter thing. Let's see if it cuts. So that is a cross-point screwdriver attempt. It's not brilliant, but that's got a cross-point sort of profile. Let's just see if we can. Okay, it needs a bit of a wiggle, so just give it 10 cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, did it. Okay, go through something like that, and obviously you can see that the entrapment size of the hook is about right for paracord, so quite whether you'll go through much larger gauge cordage. So is it easier to use that or a knife? Blade's starting to lose its edge now. Just doing it. Or the cutter. Well, if you had to cut cordage, you could use that rather than ruin your knife blade edge prematurely. But he's starting to lose his edge now. Right, now for the piece of resistance. Quite whether or not he can pound through this tile, I don't know. But, I don't want to do myself in too much. So let's just see if it can chip off a little bit. There's a roof tile. Like that. And we'll just see if I can chunk a little piece off. So, in a slightly more advantageous position. He's pretty much in frame now. So, there's the edge. So, it's not going to fit in my hand, so that's exposed. If it's in my hand, it gets lost. So what happens is that happens, and then your index finger and thumb is over the top. So you will be getting impacts there, as opposed to if it was an actual hammer strike thing about this long. But let's see if it can actually take a piece off of there. It actually broke the tile in certain places. Feel like a builder. There's also some damage due to missed strikes, so that sides of the ends of the scale we're getting some brutality. It hasn't fallen apart. The end isn't loose. Still feels pretty pointy at the end. So carbide, tungsten, whatever that end is, it did plenty enough strikes to smash that. If you had to break glass to get out, I dare say it'll break a window in order to get out. The only difference in my mind to a life hammer is the life hammer handles this big with a T-bar. You may not necessarily get cut as you're going through, so this is an emergency get out of dodge sort of idea, I dare say. But if you had it compared with you didn't have it, this is where it'll come in. Okay, so will it now still cut paper? Okay, this is a piece of paper I swears to, but it might only be one. So at the end of the day, will it or won't it? Still cuts. Not great. A lot of that is the gum on there, I wonder. Okay, so keeping that in shot, let's get rid of the gum. or a residue, as it were, as my dad always says. A residue. Fresh piece of paper. I'll take the same one. Keep standard. Try not to change any variables. So now I've removed the gum of the cardboard. It's a lot better. Will it keep going? It's starting to die, but didn't seem to make much difference. A bit raggy, but still cuts paper to some degree. Right, now how does the sharpener work? So let's put that down. Here's the pouch. Here's the sharpener. Looks like you hold it like that, and whoa, now that bit, that really bit to, there's threads of steel ending up in the end of there. Ooh, that felt quite nasty, that sharpener. Nasty as in it's cutting steel. Okay, so bear in mind, most other outdoor things don't come with a sharpener. Unless you've got Ontario machete, he comes with a sharpener. The Martin Daz Glock comes with a file. This comes with a V carbide. It's allowed me to dress up the blade a little. Hasn't done much good though. Maybe I'll give it a few more goes. Let's do it like one of those kitchen devil things. So a few strokes. Well, that's going through a lot smoother now. See if that made any difference. So just get rid of some raggy ends. Okay, out in the field, now you have a sharpener. Brilliant. It needs to be a little bit higher because I'm using it wrong. Okay, let's try a bit more. Has it lost a factory edge? Keep it real, guys, gotta keep it real. Seems that the sharpener itself puts an edge on it, but it leaves it really toothy. Like it's left it with a burr. As soon as sort that out, let's put a polished edge on it. This is what Gavco used to do with his battery drill. Like a power strop. So that's tidied up the edge, I dare say. Doesn't like cutting anymore. We started to get to the edge yet. I'm wondering whether we got some edge destruction. So let me just have a look at the doesn't feel that sharp. I swear I can see some sort of toothy edges. Doesn't like that. See, if you can't get back to paper cutting with a sharpener, then you can't go outdoors with it. So. I'm looking at that edge, and that edge is now just it's ground the size, but it hasn't actually got to the edge. It hasn't actually got to the edge. If anything, that cardboard thing butchers the edge. It's put a new bevel on it, but it hasn't actually sharpened the edge. So what I'm going to do, polish that edge, so it's not a strop, this is actually me putting an edge on it. That's just a quick, down and dirty way to put. Just tidy up the edge to see if it actually cuts. So what's happening there is that you'll need a lot more time with the sharpener to get to the edge, if that makes sense to anybody who understands about blade getting to an edge. Alright, it's getting to the flats of the side, but it's not actually getting to the edge that you've lost with all the work. For the price, well, you make up your own judgments. For the size, it's about as big as you can get in the UK, and that's where we're all a bit of a loser. The pouch is quite large because of the sharpener going in the back. And one thing I did find, I think the pouch could be slimmed down maybe by 5mm with the knife plumbing around in the back there. But has a reasonable belt loop on the back. Reasonable. It is actually quite a stiff belt pouch, but he does put it's sort of Nokia brick size, but almost twice as thick when it comes out of your hip. So sitting in a car with I found in my Turan, the seat is quite like that. This was catching a lot more than a Leatherman pouch. As I say, undershirt, it sticks out a lot more. So anyway, base price is underneath. Thanks for Dehlzer for actually sending it here, seeing the videos that I do. You know, they bit the bullet and they sent it, and it performed pretty much okay. But the sharpener, it needs a lot of work in order to regain that edge again after 15 minutes work. So if you're going out, you may end up resort not having a sharpener and putting a DC4 in.